This is a show with no name. Okay, that's a short version of the theme song since we're starting a little late. This is the show with no name on WCSS 1490 in Amsterdam, New York. I'm Bob Going with Gavin Burdock and Jim Nicosia, and our special guest, because it's a day off from school, Mr. Phillip Tambasco, our resident historian. How are you, Phillip?
Good.
Got a question for the day?
Like on Facebook, the question?
Yeah, what's the Facebook question for today?
It's what bands used to be in the city, because there used to be a lot of big bands and polka bands and all different bands.
That's true.
Yeah?
Yeah, Tony Brooks and his orchestra.
Butch Robertshaw.
Butch Robertshaw, of course.
And he had his restaurant, The Drum, up on Route 30.
Butch's Drum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else? Remember the Originals? They used to play at a lot of the dances at the Columbian, mostly. Yeah.
Didn't he have Dusty Miller?
Yeah. I don't know if Don Nikolsky was from here, but he was certainly in the area. Don Nikolsky and his polka band. They played Sherman's a lot.
Freddie Klute?
Freddie Klute. That's right. Freddie Klute. We had Freddie Klute, I think, for our junior prom. You know, big, old-style big band. Really good. What was, there's still one going around. What's his name? Doggone it.
On the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
The Polish band is Banowitz.
Yeah, there are a lot of Polish polka combos floating around. Dave Dybus had one, and I can't remember what they were called. Let's see. Okay, I'm stumped. Anyway, Phillip, I'm going to do a monstrous thing.
Okay.
For you and your family. I'm going to give you a copy of Hugh Donlan's book, Amsterdam, New York, Annals of a Mill Town in the Mohawk Valley. This is the classic picture textbook of the history of Amsterdam and
all things Amsterdam.
All things Amsterdam, just like your website. You know you're from Amsterdam if.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is your Facebook site.
Yes.
And our Facebook site is The Show with No Name.
That's right.
That's easy to find on Facebook. Just write The Show with No Name, and up we come. Cool. So anyway, this particular copy, one of three I own, is that's yours now. It's no.
So you've only got two copies now.
I only have two that I own. This one was previously owned by Teresa Conover, who was a great granddaughter of Sealy Conover, the founder of the Sealy Conover book and stationery store. Mm-hmm. One of the longest surviving businesses in Amsterdam. It's no longer in the family, but it's still Conovers.
Yeah, it's down on West Main Street now.
Bovie and Conovers. Yeah.
That's the second oldest business, I think, in Amsterdam.
It may very well be. The oldest is the Recorder.
Yes.
As far as I can tell.
1832, right? That's their new birth date. Or old birth date, how you want to look at it.
Yeah.
And like all these things, they change ownership. But the Conover, was in the family until the 1970s, maybe even into the 80s when they sold out to Bovie. Generation after generation.
That's right.
Sealy Conover was originally from Canajoharie, and he and his brother, whose name escapes me, were in the 115th New York Regiment during the Civil War. The brother was killed, I believe, at Cold Harbor, and Sealy Conover wasn't, and got to meet a lot of guys from Amsterdam in his regiment, and after the war settled here and opened his store. Later served several terms as mayor of Amsterdam, and was also chairman of the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors, and may have had the longest beard in Amsterdam. You can still see his beard on the side of the Sealy Conover delivery truck. Yeah. So that book belonged to his great granddaughter Teresa, who is still alive, but I think went into a nursing facility recently and unloaded lots of her stuff, and I ended up with that, along with all that other stuff I gave you last time. There's more stuff too for the next time, but I don't want to overload you with stuff.
Yeah.
I've got an interesting question that popped up with something I got from Bruce Conover, who was Sealy's great grandson. It was a he gave me. I didn't give it to you because I hadn't read it yet last time you were here. But it was a mimeographed several pages on the history of Amsterdam, and most of it was mostly correct. But there were some glaring errors that popped out at me, mistaking one generation for another and things like that. But scrawled in handwriting on one of the pages was the oldest residence in the city of Amsterdam still used as a residence. Now, obviously, Guy Park Manor was the oldest residence, but I believe the address they gave was, if I'm not mistaken, was 19 William Street. I don't even know if that house is there now. It apparently was at the time.
It might be a lot by now.
I'm not sure. It would be on the right-hand side of William Street. Yeah, he says.
Yeah, it would be. You're right.
You're correct. It would be on the right-hand side. I haven't been on William Street in a long time, so I don't know. Be interesting to see if it's still there. And if it's not, then the question is, what is now the residence that is still a residence, the oldest residence that is still a residence?
It has to be somewhere, I would think, around that area, though.
Oh, you would think so.
Because
yeah, it was a block in from Market Street. Everything on Market Street that were residences got torn down one time or another.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gavin, you look puzzled, perplexed.
I am. I'm trying to figure out what would be the next one in line. Didn't our city historian investigate a house up on near Crystal Bar, the old Crystal Bar?
Yes. Yeah.
The house just past there on the left-hand
78
side.
Lion Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might certainly be in the ballpark, because Rockton was a separate community, and may have been when this mimeograph was. I don't know.
Yeah.
And plus the house my mother used to work in, which is the Montgomery Transitional Services house, but it's a residence. It's a, it's a, and that's like on First Street and Clisby Avenue. The address
that's pretty old.
That's
house.
A real old house.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What about like the big mansion there on the corner of Green and Market? Is that
is certainly, that's the only house from that era that survived all the demolitions.
Because I know it's on the historic thing.
Yeah,
I found that.
That's a real old house, but I suspect that the mansions came after some of the smaller houses.
Yeah.
It's but that would have been up when this mimeograph scratch was right, and then 19 William Street would have been like right behind that. More or less.
Yeah.
My father lived on William Street for a while back in the 30s. When he graduated from high school, he lived on William Street. It was a 4-family house, and that burned down when you were in the fire department in 1960. There were about 6 people killed or something like that. It was awful.
Five children.
Whole family wiped out. Yeah, Plumidors, right?
Plumidors.
Yeah. I remember that. I was in 4th grade, and my father was especially shocked because it was, his childhood home.
Yeah.
Wow.
So which one of your questions has gotten the most response?
As of recently, it's been picking up a lot lately with what was your first job? I got a lot of responses on.
First job in Amsterdam.
Yeah, first job in Amsterdam.
I think I've noticed the responses to your questions have picked up remarkably since you were on the show with No Name recently.
That's true.
Yeah, they have. I've been adding maybe 2 to 3 people every day.
What was your first job, Bob?
Swing around a little bit. Both you guys swing. You're fine. You two swing around here because I'm not getting you in the picture. There you are. My first job was of course, as a paper boy. In 1964. I was 13, just turned 13. And then about a year later, I was also working at the teepee as a busboy. I was 14.
They had buses at the teepee?
They did.
Yeah, one of the regular stops?
Yeah. I parked the buses and, you guys, figure it out yourselves when,
My,
when we're kidding and when we're not.
My first job was working at Gabby's.
Really?
Yeah.
You worked for Mrs. and Sonia, did you?
Mrs. Galinsky.
Mrs. Galinsky, her mother. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I got a very nice letter from Mary and Sonia about a week ago. She had gotten a copy of my book and read it and sent me a very nice little note. So, Mary, if you're listening, thank you very much. And if you're not listening, somebody tell you. Now, I think you asked a question the other day, which I think is going to go on for a long time, and it was a great question, one that I've often thought about myself that people should answer, and that is, how did your family happen to come to Amsterdam?
And I cannot take credit for that question. Somebody posted it a while ago, wanted me to ask it.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
It's a great question.
Did you read the answer that I put on there about your grandparents on West Main Street?
See, it's funny because I knew there was a shop down there, and I knew it would be my great uncle Andy's, but I didn't know that he bought it from. Oh, he got it from his parent. Yeah.
And his brother Frank worked for him.
Because I remember my grandfather telling me there was a lot of brothers in the family, and they all had places. That's what I've been trying to figure out recently, who owned the one on Union Street that was at Tambasco's Market.
That one I don't remember.
And I believe the answer, somebody wrote Anacleto, I want to say his name was. I'm trying to figure out if that's in the family or not.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But Andy and Frank ran the one on West Main Street.
It's like right down the street they had shops, right by each other.
Yeah. And then Frank also had one up on Market Street at one time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A short time.
Yeah.
Jim, we know how your family got to Amsterdam because you followed your wife here.
They came with me.
Yeah, but how did your wife's family happen to land in Amsterdam?
My father-in-law was from Fonda originally.
Yeah.
And her mother was a Marticello.
Related to the Amsterdam Marticellos.
Yes,
yeah.
so that's
or
how
one branch of them anyway.
So my father-in-law's father came from Italy, and naturally the Marticello's grandfather came from Italy also.
Oh, how they end up in Amsterdam?
You know, I don't know. They probably had a job here, just like most of us.
Well, Gavin, you've got multiple roots here.
You know, my grandfather came from Scotland to work in the carpet mills. It's interesting that he saved everything he ever owned, pretty near. And I have the letters of recommendation he got back in Scotland in the early 1900s from each of the weaving firms that he worked with. And one of them is of note because it says he is a hard-working, sober young man. I guess, you know, if you weren't, you'd say hard-working, drunken young man. I don't know, but it's remarkable that right on there from the.
Well, that was a big deal.
It was
in the age of temperance.
Yes, it was. And he came here, worked in the mills. My mom's parents came from there. The grandparents came from Germany, and then her father and mother came down from Canada to work in the mills down here, the Starks.
Yeah.
And they've survived here quite well.
Well, yeah, especially the union thug.
Yeah.
Jeffrey. Yeah.
And his son, the lawyer.
And his son, the lawyer.
That's right.
Or consigliere, as we call it.
Yeah, to the family, yeah.
Now, did your grandfather come over as a laborer, or because he ended up an executive? Did he just?
No, he started out as a laborer and worked his way up. I've got several magazines that the Mohawk used to publish on a monthly basis.
The
and
Tomahawk?
Prior to the Tomahawk.
Really?
And there's some little articles with his pictures in there about what was going on in his departments. So, you know, hard work pays off. If I'd only learned that, I'd be a lot better off.
That's right. Here you are on the show with no name. Well,
come full circle.
Well, yeah. At least we're getting paid well here.
That's right.
This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Yes, you're talking about that mansion on Market Street,
Yeah.
was that across the street from Bush's gas station?
Yeah, more or less. That's correct.
That was Dr. Fitzgibbon's house.
Yeah, but it was originally an industrialist house, I think. It's in the book I just gave Philip, I believe.
The 19 William Street is no longer there.
That's a shame. I sort of suspected that.
2321 next to it was, that's still there and that's occupied, but 19 is a parking lot or nothing now, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so now we got the big question. What is the oldest continuous, residence in the city of Amsterdam that is still used as a residence?
Can I tell you about my first job?
Certainly.
It was at Bannister's Bowling Alley on.
There you go. Were you a pin boy?
Yes. Yeah. On Church Street.
Oh, where the museum is now. Yes.
Yeah. And we. One of the bowlers used to be Boston Labatt.
Sure.
And we used to get coat hangers with a hook. We used to bend them on the outside, the end of it. And if a bowler got close to 300, we would use a coat hanger and pull down the 8 and the 9 pin. We had 2 of them. So that happened to Boston Labatt. He got a 300, but who knows whether or not
he would have made it.
Any of them would have made it. So I know Boston's son Tony. He's my age. I don't know if he's still alive or not.
So you gave those guys the hook, huh?
Yeah. Well, Boston's far gone, but he got the write-up in the paper the next day. So, and I wasn't the only one that did that. A few of us used to do that, but we only got about 30 cents a game or something like that.
Now, it's hard to believe, but the automatic pin machine didn't come in until after the war. So this was a very popular bowling town, and they employed a lot of pin boys over the years.
I guess.
Let me ask you this. I'm on the board of directors at the museum, and we've tried to ascertain exactly where the bowling alleys were. It's my understanding they were were they on the second floor in the east end of the building?
No, I don't. To my best recollection, they weren't. I think they were kind of downstairs.
Really?
But that was years ago, and I'm not sure of that. Right, I'm not sure. And I know he used to be on Division Street, too.
Yeah, before they moved up there. Yeah.
Before that, yeah. And I can't honestly answer that.
They were on Church Street into the late 50s, I guess, if not even later. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
We saw some ad from 1959 or something like that. But you're the first person I've talked to who's actually mentioned having been there, and you don't remember.
So I don't remember your specific question.
Yeah,
no, I don't.
Question.
I don't.
Yeah.
I know. Well, this was before Noteworthy, I believe. Yeah,
sure.
Fairchild Industries was there, right? Fairchild Electronics after that.
Yeah. Yeah, Electrometrics. Yeah.
But yeah. So hope that doesn't get back to his family, Because,
oh yeah. Wait, what are the odds of a Labatt listening to this program?
That's right.
There's probably only 30 or 40 of them listening right now.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, it's a good thing you didn't tell us who you are.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave.
Bye.
Well, so now we know the truth about one of the great sports records of.
Know the rest of the story.
That's funny.
Oh my goodness. Well, did you ever do anything crooked like that, John?
No,
You did other crooked things.
Well, yeah, but I can't mention those. As a pin boy, my hands were small, and I couldn't grab the 3 pins at a time. To put them on the pins. Oh, it was the worst job I ever had.
How long did you have it? One day?
No, I think I worked at it probably a couple of weeks.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And where was that?
In Gloversville.
Yeah.
Gloversville.
Kabuski?
No, I even forgot the name of the place. But, it was an upstairs bowling alley.
Well, we grew up in the automatic pin setter era.
We had in our lifetime, there was 4 active going on at one time. You had the ones on the south side, the windmill. You had the one up on 30.
Yeah.
You had Skyview, and you had St. John's Club down in the basement.
Sure.
The scary thing about being a pinboy is you got some guys that really threw a fast ball, and those pins would fly, and you're sitting on that stool on the side, and that ball is coming in, and you got to raise your feet up in the air because you're going to get hurt if you don't. Those pins used to really fly.
Wow.
It was scary sometimes.
How long did it take you to reset them?
I don't remember. It wasn't fast enough, that's for sure.
And you got paid how much?
You know, I don't remember. I think it was 10 cents a game.
Oh, that much?
10 cents, something like that.
No, that's pretty good.
Not per bowler. When they bowled teams, it was 10 cents for setting for five guys on one lane and 5 on the other.
Yeah. Wow. How many bowling leagues did there used to be, let alone number of people bowling? It was incredible.
You know, it's interesting, the recorder's been putting in 75-year history and 50-year history, and it's interesting to see in the bowling section when they put in what the high scores were compared to the number of high scores that you get today. You know, it was rare when a guy hit 600 back then, and now, you know, if you don't have a couple handfuls every night, it's a bad night.
How do you think it counts for that?
Equipment.
And probably the alleys are in better shape than
yeah. The balls are different.
Yeah. Wow.
You got different techniques of throwing the ball than they had back then. You know, they didn't know the science of throwing a bowling ball back then.
What is the science of throwing a bowling ball?
Well, it's knowing where the lane is and how you're putting the twist on. When I'm saying lane, there's a line down the alley that you got to.
You get in the groove, you're all right.
My grandfather, step grandfather, I mentioned this so you don't think there's a blood problem here, was no athlete, unlike me and the members of my family, but he could bowl like crazy, and into his deep old age, he bowled left-handed and had the perfect twist. That ball would roll down, hang the gutter, all the way until it just at the end it would twist and knock them all down. He never had a 300, but he was consistently over 200 and up in the 260s for some of his better games, which for a guy in his 70s was pretty remarkable. Yeah, he could hardly walk. He walked on little duck steps. He could hardly walk, but he knew how to. He knew how to throw the ball.
2 steps.
Yeah. I don't know if this is ours. Let's see. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Yes, it is for you, actually.
Oh, good.
And I do remember banisters, and if I'm not mistaken, it was on the second floor. When you took that left-hand door up those stairs, it was right there. I'm almost positive that's where it was.
Yeah.
But here's what I did. I went one step further. I went to Google and typed in Bannister Bowling Alley, Amsterdam, New York.
Wow.
Amsterdam Evening Recorder, May 8th, 1959. Huge, on the sports thing, Bannister to acquire Old Bigelow Cafeteria for bowling alleys. Veteran proprietor to install 16 lanes on Church Street site
16
and
lanes.
10 automatic pin spotters.
Wow.
And it tells about the whole situation, what they did, how he couldn't keep the one on East Main Street or where was the other one, Bob? Division Street.
Yeah.
Okay, and it tells about how he's gonna do it. So if you want to Google it up, Bannister Bowling Alley, Amsterdam, New York, and the page is gonna come right up for you.
That's great.
And right below that, this is funny. Right below that, you're talking about the bowling. Demezza Tambasco's men win in St. Ignello League.
Yeah. There you go.
And it talked about Iggy Demezza. And the whole group, Pat Russo, Manassi, the whole group, Ferriello, and all that. This page it'll bring back some memories.
Wow,
it's a good website.
Yeah, my mother, by the way, was a pin setter at both places, the one on East Main Street and up on Church Street. And I remember her telling me the stories how she was faster than any other guy in that place because the more games you set, the more money you were making. So you wanted to get them people in and out as fast as you can and get new bowlers in there because that's where the money was from.
There you go.
Wow.
And I remember talking about jumping in the pit and throwing pins and so on and so forth. And my mother also was into the Women's Bowling Hall of Fame. I do have to tout that. She was one of the first women to hit a 279 down the Wilton bowling lanes, and she kept that record for I don't know how many years until bowling balls and everything else became
until they started
unbelievable.
cheating.
They were a lot different. She
the steroid era
she was
came
bowling
in.
with a square bowling ball by then. So, yep, I do. And you know what? Mary Dugas, I love you all the worst. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
So ask the question, you get the answer.
Yeah, that makes sense because the second floor at the east end of the building is they'd used it last as a gym, and there are a couple of false walls, but they're huge rooms. There's like three or four huge rooms if you put them all together, and it makes sense if they had 16 lanes. It's big enough to accommodate that. I didn't realize the whole place was a bowling alley, but it makes some sense. Yeah, that'd be cool. Maybe we should do that again. You can be a pin boy again, Jim. Are your hands any bigger now than they were?
No bigger. They don't work as well either.
Phillip, how are you dealing with your new celebrity status? I know it's difficult for people of your age. Look at Miley Cyrus and
Beaver.
when you go to school, people say here comes a radio star.
No.
That doesn't happen.
No.
They don't get your signature. They don't take a picture with you.
No.
Well, you got to bring your own camera. Take a selfie.
Yeah, there you go.
Did they ask you historical questions or anything like that?
No. Not many kids know about it at my school.
Well, you know what you ought to do? As part of the morning announcements, have a fact or question of the day for the high school. So, give them a fact, some historical event that happened on that week. And it's just like the recorder does in the paper, they recap. Give them a fact today at the high school. I'm sure Mr. Ziskin would go for something like that, right, Mr. Ziskin?
Yeah.
And I think that'd be a good way to interject some local history.
Certainly,
it really
Principal Murdoch would have.
I would have done it. Yeah. That's right.
All right, let's see if this is a call for us. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
You were talking about old-time bands.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember the Cobras, Billy Sievert, Mike Bigelow, and I think Bob Albright, and Bob Daly was their booking agent.
What's a booking?
You thought you were thinking a bookie,
I
Bob.
thought you meant he was their bookie.
No.
Okay.
Bookie, booking agent.
Yeah.
Booking agent.
Yeah.
Right.
It's different.
Right.
In other words,
wow.
somebody who couldn't play an instrument but wanted to be part of the band anyway.
And get their 10%.
Well, he talked them up good. And they were from the same era as the Coronados, the same era.
Well, that doesn't help me. So what years are we talking about here?
Coronado.
65.
Okay, all right. That's kind of our era.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to share that.
All
with
right.
you.
Okay, thank you. All
Bye
right.
now.
Yeah. Wow.
Shouldn't recognize that one.
Was Jimmy Sturr, was he local band or is that a national,
I'm not sure.
the Polish band?
I remember it, sure. I don't think they were local. Well, okay. What else? Gavin?
Okay, we're going back asking which one's got the most hits. Which one of your questions is giving you the most surprising answer?
Well,
Something that you truly came out of left field for you.
Well, the one that he mentioned before, the one about how you got here.
Okay, what was the...
A lot of different answers, and people came from all over.
Yeah.
All over the world. And
Plus Pichat.
and I knew that Amsterdam has a lot of ethnics and they're all over, but it surprised me the stories that.
Which one? Who had the most interesting story?
I think Diane Hale Smith's story was pretty good. The what about her grandfather and all that? That was good.
Okay. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning.
Hi.
You know, in the not too far past, Amsterdam had the Polka Fest.
Sure. A couple of them,
And
I think.
I was wondering if there's anything written or any, recounts of that event. I couldn't find anything on the internet.
Really?
But we had probably the best bands in the country there, and it's a shame that kind of like, had a very short life.
Yeah, they had. I remember they
2 or 3 years.
At one time they had it at Mohawk Mills Park.
And they
they
had the shuttle buses and all that stuff.
Yeah. And then I think later they had it at the Fonda Fairgrounds. I think the last one was up there. Seems to me Steve Gabrielek ran that one. Or had something.
Well, I think it was Danny Cabasa.
Danny Cabasa did the ones in the city, yes.
Yeah, he's the one that got the whole thing started.
Yeah.
Also, along the same line, it's a shame that you don't really have the August Festival anymore.
Yeah,
San Agnello's down at Cozzens Park.
We used to have a bunch of them. You had the St. Mary's August Festival.
Sure.
St. Stan's.
All the churches.
St. Stan's and St. Michael's were both like on the same weekend, but different days. End of July, thereabouts.
And to think at these church-run festivals, the biggest moneymaker were gambling games. All right, you throw it on the Lucky Strike, or you spin the wheel, or you draw out the fishbowl.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or the cage dice.
And they used to hawk that as gambling for God.
Let me tell you a secret. It's impossible to win at any of these church gambling games unless you're running for public office. I always go in planning on dropping a certain amount of money at these things to just to support the church, have a little fun. But every time I ran for office, I couldn't lose. And then everybody else who's playing is getting madder and madder at me. I keep throwing all the money down, and it keeps multiplying. It took me about 3 hours to get rid of my stash one time. Believe it or not.
Did those festivals fall by the wayside because of anti-gambling, anti-alcoholic beverages?
No, I don't think so. I think that of course, St. Michael's, the parish disappeared, so that disappeared. St. Stan's still has their festival.
Yeah, they're the only ones.
And I think they're the only ones. St. Mary's, we lost. We had a couple of very active associate priests who took on the job, and when they left, that was the end of it.
Yeah, and it took a lot of volunteers to run those, because they used to run 3 or 4 nights down there.
Yeah.
That was
Ferris wheels.
Yeah.
Also very memorable was the fireworks down at San Agnello's at Cozzens Park.
Yeah,
I don't remember that. Saturday of their festival down there.
Because I barely remember
that all that
Cozzens
stuff
Park.
went by the wayside, because it was always enjoyable and something to look forward to locally in the summer.
It's something to do with this being a mill town. When everybody's working in the mills, they work hard all week and they party hard on the weekends, and they're all involved in after hours with their clubs and their their churches and their everything else. And
now we forget the working hard part, but we still party hard.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Somebody's got to start the party.
That's right.
All right. Okay. Thank you. That's some good stuff there today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, you got a great guest. That's why.
That's right.
Where Phillip goes, calls follow.
Yeah.
I don't. I videoed the show last week for the first time from the opposite side.
Yeah.
Everything came out great, except I wasn't in it. I was hidden behind this monitor the whole time, and I kept, I'm going like this, sticking my head out. I changed the angle this week. Hopefully, all 4 of us are in it for the most part. I still got this stupid thing in front of me. There we go. You see my beard better? Okay. All right.
Now, has all the work that you've done on Facebook, has that contributed any way to your grades in school? Have you been able to relate any of that to your English class or your history class?
Yeah, they all went down.
Oh, okay. Ma's out there. Don't tell Ma. But you haven't been able to use any of that in your...
Well, no, not really, because it's a local history, and we've been learning about Greece, so not really local stuff.
Well, I don't know. When you have to do a book report or something, the important question is, how does...
well, it hasn't came about yet.
Not yet, okay.
Maybe in the future, but not yet.
Yeah,
not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Always keep that stuff in the back of your head. You never know.
That's right. Someday.
I was up at the museum this morning because they're having the camp, day camp for the kids, and in the library is a black bird And I walked in as a woman was explaining to the child that, this is The Raven from Edgar Allan Poe's famous poem, The Raven. And just as I was walking in, and of course the kid is like, 7, 8 years old.
Who's Edgar Allan Poe?
And it just happened to be something I knew something about. So I immediately the stranger walks in and started saying, "Once upon a midnight."
Yeah. Did that frighten the kid?
She was amused by it. Actually, I was attempting to be frightening, and it didn't work. But you just never know when the opportunity arises. You just charge right in.
That's right.
You never know. Someday you'll be at a cocktail party, and someone will ask you, "I wonder what the oldest house in Amsterdam is," and you'll say, "Well, it used to be 19 William Street, but they tore it down."
He'll know by then.
Hopefully, we'll get the answer to that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I forgot to mention this. I've got a question for you to throw out there, and it's along similar lines, and it's this. When I was doing my World War II research,
what book was that for, Bob?
That was for my book, Where Do We Find Such Men? Which is, if you want to
still
read
available?
Yeah, you could get a copy up at. There goes there goes the hook. It's available up at the Old Peddler's Wagon and the Bookhound on Main Street and the Walter Elwood Museum, and a couple of copies up in the archives in Fonda, available for sale. Or you can get it, if you're not local, you can get it on Amazon.
You have to go all the way to the Amazon to get it?
No, you can just go on the internet to Amazon.com.
Oh, okay, the shortcut.
You can do it there, and which reminds me, it's time to say hello to my daughter Louisa, busy working in Concord, Massachusetts today.
She'll be the original question.
She'll be going to India next week. All right, before we take the call, my question. A big chunk of my book is about Jack Blanchfield and his adventures as a POW, and the Blanchfields live down the street from me on Trinity Place, and they've been there since the 1930s. And Adelaide Blanchfield still lives there, Jake Blanchfield's widow. And I began to think about it, and I can't think of any family who's been in a house in the city of Amsterdam longer than that. Now, there have been families who have been here for hundreds of years. My family's been here from 1848, but they've been in different places. And so I think it would be an interesting question.
Who's been in the same...
What family has been in the same house the longest? So, somebody who's been there a long time, they can write in and say, our family's been here since 1923 in this particular house.
Good question, Bob.
Yeah, it is a good question. And I started going through all the different people I knew, and almost everybody, even if they've been here a long time, they start out in one place and they move into a little better neighborhood, and then they move into a little better neighborhood, and so on. Even the rich people moved out. The Sanfords moved out. They had the nicest house in town, and they left. So there we go. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Hi. I think I remember the band Dave Dybus played in. It was the Paul Cap Combo.
Well, it could be. They played at our wedding, but I wasn't involved in the.
It was a three-piece group, right?
I was the groom. So yeah, I was the groom. So
you were invited.
Wedding. Yeah, I was invited to the wedding, but all the arrangements were done without my knowledge or consent.
You were told to be there.
I was told to be there, and I did show up.
Another band.
And they played the wrong song.
Brothers.
The Krupa Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
and I think whenever I was at a party they played at, Miles the caterer was the caterer.
I remember Miles the caterer, but I don't remember who Miles the caterer was. Yeah.
But that's all you're getting from this vast resource of knowledge today.
Okay.
So we'll try another day.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Let's see. Fred Salvione, the druggist's daughter, married a Miles, but it was a different family, I think. I don't think he was from here.
I have no idea.
Remember Salvione's drugstore? They were on Market Street,
Street.
Across from my office there, across from the Rialto. Yeah.
Right next to Crane and Evans.
No, the Crane and Evans was on the other corner, but Salvione's was almost to the corner of Division Street, but north of on Market. And next to Sherwin-Williams paint store, I think they were. Remember when Sherwin-Williams was on Market Street? No, you know, the 15-year-old kid is nodding. Yes, I remember.
I found a picture of it online.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Oh, God, you could get everything in downtown Amsterdam back then.
You could.
Wow.
You get everything you wanted at Alice's restaurant except for Alice.
You ever been there?
No, I haven't been.
We had lunch there a couple years ago. We were in Stockbridge and stopped in. Of course, Ronnie Barone was in that movie.
Way.
It was sitting at the counter.
Him and was. Do you know what movie we're talking about?
Alice's Restaurant. Oh,
he doesn't.
No. Okay.
He doesn't know who Alice was.
I don't know who Alice was either, but
she had a restaurant.
She had a restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant,
except for Alice.
What is that? Arlo Guthrie?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. He's a friend of my brother's. Sean knows them all. Yeah, he's in front of the Dalai Lama too. You believe that? Yeah. My brother lives in Medford, Massachusetts, which is a Boston suburb. Mm-hmm. And I never even heard the story how he got to meet the Dalai Lama. But every time the Dalai Lama comes to town, Sean goes to see him. And the last time he was in town, he got him to wear a Medford High School baseball cap to get his picture. So he's in his Dalai Lama robes wearing a Medford High School baseball cap. It was cool. Anyway, we're done. Anyway, this is WCSS 1490 in Amsterdam, New York. This is the show with no name at our new hour, 11 to 12 on Tuesday, more or less. You can also get us at WCSS1490.com if you're traveling or otherwise outside the area. And if you really miss the show, then we've been videoing them lately, and it'll probably be up tonight or tomorrow. So, depending on how slow YouTube is. They've been very slow lately.
Have you been getting a lot of sources for your questions? A lot of people have been saying, hey, Philip, why don't you ask this question?
Yeah. Well, as of lately, there's been a lot of people messaging me. People have been telling me to put questions in, so I have been. Yeah.
You're going to have a million of them with that book, Annals of the Milltown. Great pictures in there, too.
Yeah.
Donlin was probably close to 90 when he wrote that book, and he had his faculties all the way. I mean, he was working for the Recorder, I think, before World War I. That's seriously, and into the 70s. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
I'm just asking an idle question. Have there ever been any famous politicians from Amsterdam?
Famous politicians?
John Hancock, John Adams, and stuff like that.
Famous politicians from Jim Lukosha.
Yeah. Depends upon your definition of famous.
You mean that went on to really higher office?
Yeah, like lieutenant governor.
Well, Marianne Krupsak, of course, was lieutenant governor.
That's right. Okay.
And ran for governor. Let's see. How far? We had a lot of congressmen from here. I came across an old list recently that was current up to about 1910. But there were quite a few. There were 3 generations of Sanfords were congressmen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Old John Sanford, the guy who started the company.
No kidding.
Stephen Sanford served a couple of terms, and
wow.
then his son John also went to Congress.
I think one of the drawbacks for people from Amsterdam to go to higher office is the fact that honesty is something they all possess, which doesn't lend itself very well to politics. So
I think Amsterdam
had a tough time.
Are considered very honest people.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. No question about it. But I think as to who went the farthest, I think probably Marianne Krupsak.
Yeah, okay.
And she certainly went the farthest, the fastest. She went. She was elected to the Assembly in 1968, re-elected in 70, went to the Senate in 72, and in 74 became lieutenant governor. So that was absolutely meteoric. And 4 years later, ran for governor against her boss.
What's she up to now? I don't know.
She's last
a lawyer.
Yeah, I think she's mostly retired now. She was actually running a restaurant out in Seneca Falls or someplace.
Seneca Falls.
I saw her. I saw her a couple of years ago when Norberta died, her sister-in-law, and we chatted for quite a while. She looked good. She looked very content in her, retired from politics.
Thank you very much.
I think she became a Republican. I'm not positive, but
she saw the light.
But I believe
Don't they all? Okay.
I think she ended up being a Republican. Believe it or not. Sure. Or at least she endorsed Pataki. I think that was the last time she made a political statement. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Yes, Bob. The band Marty Fontana. He played for my wedding in 1949.
Holy mackerel! And where is he now?
His daughter was.
It was Arlene Fontana, his family.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Her father.
Oh yeah. Well, she was quite the songstress.
The bowling alleys, where there were alleys, they weren't the Elks Club and the YMCA. They had some alleys,
and
the Armory.
And really
had alleys there. I belonged to the
basement at SMI also.
Yeah, and I was going to say that too.
Yeah.
I
But
think the P&A had.
And what else were you talking about?
The
band. How about Dean Dale?
Dean Dale, the Dean Dale Trio with Art Hafes.
Right. And
Art Hafes on drums. They were really good. They used to play the teepee every Saturday night when I was working there as a busboy, and they were good. They were,
The teepee used to be a pretty hopping place.
It was. Well, yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Jimmy Tutt, he used to be with Dusty Miller, then he had his own group after.
Oh.
He ran Bob's Tavern.
Okay.
Jeez. That's gone now. Let's talk about the oldest buildings.
Who's the oldest person ever lived in Amsterdam?
The oldest person?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Mr. Colangelo's doing pretty good. He's 102.
Yeah, Mr. Colangelo's doing pretty good at 102. I'd say so, Johnny Colangelo. Yeah.
All that seafood he used to eat.
He's 102 and he's playing golf every day.
Playing golf and he gives out communion every weekend. And
right.
I think last I looked, he was still taking the stairs 2 at a time.
Well, don't forget he's got his great grandchildren serving.
Yeah.
Where would you see somebody 102 giving out communion? And
it's amazing.
And
it's amazing.
And the kids, great.
Yeah.
No, if it's great or great.
Great, probably.
Yeah. Oh,
I think he does have great. Yes, I think.
I was with him when, my brother and I sort of adopted him because I said, "How come you're playing alone, John?" He said, "All of my people have been dying." I said, "Will you play with us?" So that day on the 13th hole, he hits the ball on the green from the senior tee, sinks a 20-foot putt for a birdie. So
he got a hole in one at 99 for God's sake.
Yeah, well, let me tell you. So then 2 weeks later, he does the same. Well, I went in and I said to Danny Baker, I said, "Mr. Colangelo, birdie 13. He said, "He did." I said, "Yeah." He was 97 then. And he said, I said, "Put something in a paper." So he did. And 2 weeks later, he does the same thing. He said to me, "You going to tell her that guy?" Yeah, I'll tell him. So then a short time after that, he gets a hole in one on 16.
Just amazing.
And, anyway, the girl that was covering the area, she could come on the golf course, and she wanted to see him hit a shot. And no, I called the recorder and told him. So they called me back and said, we got your message, and we went up and picked the old man up and brought him up there, and they wanted him to hit a shot. He put it 10 foot from the pin. and he had a bunch of people come out too. So
if his vision wasn't failing.
Talk about pressure. So then my my nephew has been in Germany over 30 years. He's a retired colonel, and he calls up. We made world news, and the Fox channel. My brother and I and the old man from when Channel 9 taped us. So it was quite a thing.
Wow.
Yeah, he's either playing golf every day or he plays 18 holes a lot of times.
Amazing, just amazing. Okay.
I'll tell you a good one. We were on 15.
Yep.
And he hit a ball in the creek. So I said, John, your ball's on. I crossed the bridge there. Your ball is on this side. So instead of coming up, he jumps from one rock to another crossing the creek.
All right.
Well, that's about it.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for calling.
Bye.
You know, yesterday was President's Day, so there were all these different articles about different presidents. That you know, somebody brought up again that two of John Tyler's grandsons are still alive. John Tyler was president in 1841, okay, born in 1790, and two of his grandsons, not great-great-great-grandchildren, two of his grandsons are still alive in Virginia. He was, I think he was in his 70s when his son was born, and his son was in his 70s when these two guys were born. But one of them was born as recently as 1928. You know, it's just incredible. Incredible.
85 years old.
Yeah. Heck, John Tyler was a traitor during the Civil War, wasn't he? Didn't he go with the South?
Yeah, Yeah.
Should have shot him. Well, they should have. I'm going to be hearing from
the other side.
I'm going to be hearing from General Pickett's General Store very shortly.
Is that still up there?
No, I think he closed it. Not positive, but I think so.
Not enough transient business coming up that far?
I don't know. I haven't asked him. He really does look like General Pickett.
He does. He's got that little...
you know, they show the
beard.
pictures of him side by side. It's kind of hard to tell the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a former Amsterdam resident passed away the other day.
Who's that?
Joe Carline, lived on Stewart Street.
Oh, I saw you mention that. I don't know who that was.
Phillip Street. Yeah. It's, all of his children were here.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we got a call. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
John Tyler was the first president to die in office, and some people believe that he was poisoned.
No, that was that was his. William Henry Harrison was the first person to die in office, and that's how Tyler became president.
Oh.
Yeah, William Henry Harrison gave the longest inaugural address in history. It went on for over an hour,
and it was cold.
And it was in like a cold rain on March 4th, 1841. He caught cold, pneumonia, and died, I think, a month later. He was only in office.
Well, didn't John Tyler? He didn't die in office.
No, John Tyler lived into the 1880s or something like. He was one of our oldest presidents. He was like 90 when he died.
Oh, well, I don't know. I thought I read somewhere that somebody that he died of poisoning.
No, Zachary Taylor died in office a couple of presidents later. That may be who you're thinking of. They sometimes say he died from drinking a cold glass of lemonade on a hot day, but then there are other versions of how he died. We don't know. And
well, okay then.
No one's done a recent autopsy, so you're probably confusing Tyler with Taylor, and I don't know how you could possibly do that.
Well, yeah, right. Going back in time. Okay, thank you.
All righty.
Bye.
Don't stump me on presidential trivia.
Tyler was Tippecanoe and Tyler, too, right?
Tippecanoe and Tyler, true. Now,
does Philip know where Tippecanoe is, or what Tippecanoe was?
No.
Yeah.
Well, something for you to find out.
Interestingly, William Henry Harrison, he had very few real qualifications for office. He had not held high public office in recent times when he was elected president. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was a county clerk in Ohio when he was nominated for president. He had, however, been a general.
Yes, he had.
And he defeated Tecumseh at the Battle of Tippecanoe.
In the Black Hawk War.
In the Black Hawk War, and that became such a, when he got elected, based on this kind of flimsy history, the Democrats next time around nominated a guy for vice president named Dick Johnson. Yeah, yes, Richard Johnson. And I think that was the next time around. It was somewhere in that time frame. And he was the guy whose really only claim to fame, aside from being a hack, was that he was the guy who actually shot Tecumseh. and his campaign slogan was something, I'm close to this, but it was something like this: Ipsy Apsy Dipsy Dumpsy, I Dick Johnson shot Tecumseh.
Whoa.
Yeah. This is WCSS, you're on the air.
Bob, this is Stubborn Jack.
Hey, Stubborn Jack, how you doing?
Good. Your family and my family come over on the boat the same time from Ireland.
Yes, they did. They were both evicted from Ireland at the same time.
Right. Now, my question for you is, was it first class?
Nah. Has anybody in either one of our families ever been mistaken for first class, Jack?
It's highly unlikely. Maybe in a dim-lit bar room, I don't know. Talk to you later, Bob.
All right, take care.
Came over in steerage, right?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, really. You know, my great-great-grandfather was 21 years old when he came to this country. I suppose it may have been old, but he came over by himself. He didn't come over with anybody else, and went to work on a farm in the town of Florida. And they had their own farm out there. I think they entered the city limits, what's now the city limits, probably late 1850s, 1858 or so. They had a 2-acre farm on Van Dyke Avenue, where the Armstrong houses are now.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, if you go straight up George Street till it becomes the mall, then
right
University, and go straight up, you'll go right into that land that was my great-great-grandfather's farm. And it's still mostly vacant.
Yeah, there's a big, probably 3 lots between the Armstrong houses.
Yeah. And I don't know whether Bill Armstrong's house was actually the Going family homestead or not, but it's in the right spot. Yeah. One of the oldest continuously occupied residences in the city of Amsterdam.
Maybe.
Could be. Anyway, we're kind of at the end of the line here. Philip, when you got another vacation coming here, or a Tuesday off?
The next one is in April, but I don't know if I'm going to be home then.
Oh, well, okay. Well, keep in touch. Okay. We know where to find you on Facebook at the You Know You're From Amsterdam If Facebook page.
Or if you realize you're going to have a slow day at school.
Yeah. Just just drop in. You got a school board member here. What are they going to do? They're going to suspend you. You appeal to the school board. Gavin pulls the strings, and you're all set.
They'll get twice as much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, been nice having you study up on your Donlin, and I'm Bob Going with Gavin Murdoch, Jim Nicosia, and teenage historian Phillip Tambasco. And we'll be back on Friday, hopefully, with a podcast, weather permitting. And back next Tuesday at 11 o'clock a.m. for more of The Show with No Name. This is WCSS 1490 on your dial in Amsterdam, New York.